having a mentor or being a mentor definitely allows, senior NCOs and NCOs and even CGOs the opportunity to help guide individuals on a path that they're looking for.
Hello and welcome to Tinker Talks, the audio format podcast that talks about everything behind the fence of Tinker Air Force Base. I'm Second Lieutenant Lajinska Bilajama, your host for this episode. Today I'm joined by Master Sergeants Daniel MacPherson and Kim Van Warmer, the Career Assistant Advisors at the Team Tinker Development Center, and Airman First Class Mouton from the 72nd Force Support Squadron. Thank you all for being here today. Before we get started, in a nutshell, what do you do here at Tinker? We will start with you, Sergeant MacPherson.
First, hi, I'm Sergeant MacPherson. I am the 72nd Air Base Wing Career Assistance Advisor. Primary duties for us as career advisors entail everything from mentorship to guidance along the lines of retraining, commissioning, BOPs, as well as running first-term airman's course. And then I'll let Sergeant Van Warmer kind of talk about the PEZs. But anything that has to do with a career airman or a first-term airman looking to do something specific, or if they have specific goals in mind, we're there to kind of help guide them through that process.
Fantastic. Sergeant Van Warmer?
I am currently the 552nd Air Control Wing Career Assistance Advisor. I do everything that Sergeant MacPherson already stated, plus we facilitate all of our enlisted professional enhancement seminars, so junior enlisted, NCO, and senior NCOs.
Excellent. And Airman Mouton?
I'm a force management technician at the MPF, and we just deal with processing evals for officers and enlisted and making sure they get in their records on time, as well as making sure they have all their decorations and awards that they need for their ribbon racks.
Well, that sounds very important. All right. Well, we're here today to talk about retraining and walk through a mentorship scenario. Sergeant MacPherson, how important is it for leaders to mentor their airmen through the retraining process?
So I would have to say that it's actually pretty critical for senior NCOs, and believe it for everybody, to at least mentor someone at some point, or at least have a mentor. Without that, it's kind of trying to find your way through the fog, and not necessarily having any way forward, just trying to make the best of a situation. But having a mentor or being a mentor definitely allows, senior NCOs and NCOs and even CGOs the opportunity to help guide individuals on a path that they're looking for. So like we kind of said, that, we help, with personal goals and objectives that airmen may have. So a lot of times, mentorship could be simple as helping an airman figure out how to get into school, or it could be something as commissioning, or it could be retraining. All opportunities or, methods of mentorship to help those, who need it. So pretty critical is pretty much the answer to that one.
All right. And Airman Mouton, tell us from an airman's point of view what mentorship means to you.
Actually, my mentor is in here, Master Sergeant Van Warmer, and I think it's really important to have a mentor because they help guide you. Like, you're not just alone by yourself. They help, make big decisions, kind of what's best for you and help you figure it out, especially with going to school. I know that's my next step, and she's currently helping me decide, what degree I want to get, where I want to go to school. So it's really important, I think.
Sounds like really good guidance. Can you walk us through a retraining scenario?
Sure. And I know Airman Mouton has some questions that she kind of lined up for us. So if you guys are okay with it, I'd like her just to kind of run through the questions. And what we'll do is we'll kind of go back and forth and answer those up. But Airman Mouton, if you would like, you're more welcome to start.
All right, you got it. Do I have to meet with a career advisor to retrain?
So great question. Two answers, my personal opinion and the actual answer. Personal opinion is yes, you do have to meet with a career assistance advisor to retrain. Official answer is no, you do not. Everything that has to do with retraining can be found on MyPers. So you can actually go in there on the left-hand side. There's a retraining tab that has everything you would need to be able to retrain. All the information is there for you. But I will say a lot of times what we find is the small nuances and gotchas that come with each specific individual in their life scenario, and the things that they may either be going through or be trying to do may not necessarily be very readily available, or the information may be difficult to find. So I would highly encourage anybody that's looking to retrain, definitely come talk to us so we can help you out.
I agree. What is the retraining window for first-term airmen?
So it depends a lot on your first term enlistment, right? So normally it's going to be either a 4-year or it's going to be a 6-year enlistment. For those 4-year individuals, it's going to be the 35th month through the 43rd month of the enlistment, and that is the first month or the first day of the month, right? So if you came in on the 25th of January, do that math, it would be December 1st of that year after that 30, at that 35-month point would be the start of your window. For the 6 years, it would be that 59th month to the 67th month. And the important thing to remember about the window is more the fact that in that window, no one can tell you no. There's very few things that are actually going to stop you from having the opportunity. And most of the time that's going to be either, signing a 964, some kind of administrative actions or something along those lines. But for the masses, 99.9% of the people out there, that window is there for them, and it awards them the opportunity to apply, and they are simply competing for a seat in an AFSC that they want to try and go into. It does not, your commander, the chief, the CFM, they are all kind of outside of that window. If you try and apply outside that window, which we'll talk about in a little bit, they now have a say, primarily your CFM. That's the big one that's going to have a say. But inside that window, that is your 9-month window to apply and compete for a seat in a different AFSC.
I didn't know that. What do I need to do to retrain early?
So by early, we normally speak about the 24-month mark for a career field such as security forces, or whether you're a 6-year enlistee or a 4-year enlistee. There are what's called exception to policy letters that you can write and submit to your commander for signature and approval to be able to retrain outside of your window, whether it be before your window or actually after your window. There are examples of the exception to policy letters on the MyPers retraining website, and also Sergeant Mac and I have a few that we can always send out if people would like to do that.
How early can I retrain into a short man career field?
So what formerly was known as the critically manned career field listing no longer exists. We have a list of jobs right now that have exception to policies that we know people can automatically retrain early. But we do recommend just having a conversation with us. Every situation is different, whether an airman can or cannot retrain early. Again, and that's why we believe that you should always talk to a career assistance advisor before you try to retrain.
All right. If the job you want is not on the MyPers listing, can you still try and retrain into that job?
So for the primary masses, when we talk about AFSCs, the overarching answer would be no, right? So if you're a first-term airman trying to apply in that window, or even outside that window, when you go on the retraining advisor, you'll notice that there's a couple columns. You have the FTA column for first-term airmen, and then staff all the way through senior, which are for your re-enlisted airmen. It really depends on the number in that column in the AFSC. So if the AFSC says 0, that means that there's no tech school training seats available in that AFSC for that column. So if you're a first-term airman and you want to go be a firefighter, and the number is 0, you're not going to go be a firefighter as a first-term airman, right? It's just the math is not in your favor. However, there are a few exceptions to that, primarily battlefield airmen, so SEER, EOD, and any of the 1 Zulu jobs. Those all may have 0 seats, but the CFM, or the CFMs, I should say, for those AFSCs have said that if you have members that want to attempt to retrain into one of those career fields, they will give them the opportunity to do so. So even if you see a 0 there, you're still more than welcome to apply. Again, please come talk to us so we can kind of start that process for you. But that is really the only one where it can be 0 and you can apply.
Good to know. Is there a waiver for ASVAB testing, like if you're like 2 points off from the score that you need?
There is not. We have come across this before. Even if it's 1 point off, there's no waiver. So you can retake your ASVAB test as many times as you want, as long as it's in 6-month increments. when you go to apply, the test score that is most current is what they will use, not the highest out of all of the ones that you have taken.
A lot of times you'll hear there's a waiver in the Air Force for everything.
Not for that one.
Not for that one.
Can you retrain more than once?
Yes, you can. It is doable. So when you do retrain, if you were to retrain as a first-term airman, there are opportunities outside of your first enlistment where you could retrain again. Is it common? Not really, but it does happen. And then sometimes it's one of those cases where the stars align, the manning numbers meet the intent of what the airman is looking to do, and they can retrain more than once. But normally, the first-term airman option is your one big chance to do it. And then if you retrain, you owe a specific amount of time depending upon the AFSC. Once you meet that time, you can, again, once you re-enlist and you fall into the NCO retraining program, you can then look to see if your AFSC you retrained into has outs, and then you could apply to go do something different. So yes, technically you can, though it doesn't always work out that way.
Okay. So the rumor mill is that flyers are not allowed to retrain out of flying AFSCs, and security forces airmen can only retrain into their shreds, as well as maintainers can never retrain because they're undermanned. Is any of that true?
Some of it is true in some aspects, yes. As far as the first part of that question, that flyers are not allowed to retrain out of their flying AFSC, that is completely inaccurate. In fact, they're offering opportunities right now for some of those AFSCs, some of those flyer positions to retrain early. As far as the security forces airmen, yes, there is a letter in place for career airmen to only retrain into their shreds. First-term airmen have the same opportunity as all other first-term airmen in every other career field, where they can try and retrain into a different career field. And maintainers, as long as they're in their first-term airman window, can also apply for any job that has a retraining in on the advisory. It is a challenge to retrain outside of your first-term airman window, but there is nothing stating that maintainers of any shred cannot retrain.
Well, thank you for clearing that up.
So that's the reason why Mac and I think
It's
that
important.
you should always talk to a career assistance advisor if you are trying to retrain, because we are the experts. And if we don't have the answers, we have the people who do and the contact information for the people that do.
I just think it's a good idea because it just seems like retraining is a lot of work, and to do it on your own, no bueno.
Yeah, and I'm your mentor and you didn't even know half of that.
I know. For shame. So again, I ask, do I have to meet with a career advisor to retrain?
What do you think, Mac?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Well, that was fantastic. I certainly learned a lot. It seems like Airman Mouton also learned a lot. And I just want to thank you all again for being here today. You've provided very valuable information. For more information on Tinker Air Force Base, follow us on social media at Tinker Air Force Base on Facebook and Instagram, and at teamed_tinker on Twitter, or visit our website at tinker.af.mil.